Well, that's just prime.
Hello everyone and welcome to That's Just Prime, a Beast Wars podcast. Happy holidays and a happy new year now that the timing of this, just to date it, is coming out in the new year for everyone. So I hope everyone had a really good holiday period and best wishes for the year to come. But for us, it's episode 25 and we're talking toys today. Specifically, the Kingdom toy line, which was a bit of a return to form for Beast Wars and bringing a new crowd into the Beast Wars corner of the Transformers. And some goods and bads there, but yeah, we're going to chat Kingdom Beast Wars toys, not the whole toy line, just Beast Wars. But as usual, I have Ian with me. And how are you doing, mate?
I'm very good. Yes, happy new year to everyone, because whilst this might be recorded in 2025, it's going to go out in 2026. So yes, happy new year to you all. Before we get started on the episode, obviously Chris and I want to say big thank you to Gary Chalk for joining us for our last podcast, and we had such a wonderful time. We've had really good feedback from people, really pleased that we got him on as a guest. So it was a real honor for us. We were just grinning throughout the episode. So it was really cool and really glad you tuned into it. But yes, today on to toys. And as Chris mentioned, we got the first reintroduction of Beast Wars toys outside of things like BotCons or Universe, where you had sort of a one-shot appearances of toy lines throughout the years. We've got dedicated Beast Wars ways back in it for the first time since the 90s toys.
Yeah, so for those who may not be aware, there was the War for Cybertron trilogy, which is a Netflix-based trilogy of these short CGI series for Transformers. And the third series was Kingdom, which reintroduced a sort of retelling of the Beast Wars thing, and it was all a little bit messy, to be honest, but the good thing is we got new Beast Wars toys. And though the show was design-wise based off the original Beast Wars, the characters were quite different in some ways, but it meant that we got fairly good representation and modernised toys, which did get better as time went on. We'll get to this eventually, but with Legacy and Age of the Primes, etc. For Kingdom, there was some really nice toys in there, and it was really great to get new fans, you know, these younger fans that weren't around 30 years ago, let alone 20 years ago, some of them, into Beast Wars. And there's something I'll mention later, but even an old meme for Optimus Prime popped up again when people realised what they could see. But we'll get to that soon. So essentially, we're going to go through, as we said, just the Beast Wars releases. And we will do an honourable mention before we kick off into those. There was a sub-line within the Kingdom toy line called Fossilizers, which is the predecessor to the current weaponizers, or whatever you want to call them. They were fossil-type animals like a T-Rex or a Spinosaurus or whatever they were, and you could pull them apart and attach those bits to other robots via 5mm ports. It's a cool concept, but they were kind of thin.
They were terrible. Let's call it for what it is. I mean, how do they go from I'm looking at it behind me, the one that's being held on Fort Max. What's his name? From the War for Cybertron series from before. The blue cog and red cog, wasn't it?
Yeah. Cog, yep.
That was a fine enough gimmick. That worked. I don't know if it's the fact that they were skeletons and it just didn't work. I know they were there to be, more animalistic for the Beast characters, but you were just kind of wearing bones as outer armor. And I thought, well, a missile or a laser is going to cut through bones quite easily, isn't it? But it was a bit of a terrible concept. So we just wanted to say they existed. They were there. They stayed on the shelves for a long time. That's where they belong.
The best thing that came out of the fossilizers is Paleotrex, which is the T-Rex. The head of the robot mode is Primal's mace. So we got something out of it. Okay. And
nice throw.
They did do, to tie back into the more Beast Wars centric figures, they did retool Paleotrex into Transmutate, which was in the Generation Selects line. It's not great, but it exists.
I mean, anyway. They didn't even appear in a cartoon, though, did they?
I don't believe so.
They were a toy gimmick, but we didn't see any introduction of them, which you could say from the old 90s toys, apart from maybe the Cyber Bee, we didn't get Primal's Mace. So, toy gimmicks not making it into shows is not too uncommon, but yeah, they were there. So there you go. Honorable mention. Now we quickly move on.
Yes, swiftly. But first up, we've got the core class with Wave 1, and we had Rat Trap, which was a fun little figure. It's not my favourite Rat Trap by any means, but it was... So I will mention, just before we really get into the details here, they tended to go with these, I don't want to call them realistic, but more realistic proportioned beast modes and things with these early new generations Beast Wars figures. So like this Rat Trap is very like a little mouse type shape to it, opposed to that fat rat that we were used to seeing.
Yeah, I think sadly he is victim of the core class here as he was for the basic class back in the 90s. We know he's small. He's a rat. He's by far the smallest character in all of Beast Wars, I think. But he really is then a victim because he's much more of a mouse, as you say, and I think it does a fair enough job keeping the kibble away. But when he's turned into robot mode, you really just see he's just very basic, isn't he? He's arms and legs and chest, and the head and the gun are probably the two best things. It's very limited, and I said this when we did the sort of the talk of the 90s toys. The basic class Rat Trap for a big name character is limited by his size, and this is just the same here.
Yeah, and without the budget of like the MPG, where the size didn't matter as much, you're talking a retail toy here, and it does matter. And look, they did a decent job. It's essentially a brick in rat mode with articulated ankles, and then the transformation is not bad for its size. And it is fairly articulated, mostly via ball joints. But as you say, the gun and the head sculpt is the winner here. And on the wiki, they call the gun a fusion blaster. I don't know if we've ever heard of what his gun is called before, but...
No, we don't. I mean, we kind of know it to be a bit of a small mini-gun, isn't it? Like an Uzi or something like that. It's a bit rapid fire. And it is what it is. I think what is quite telling, though, is that the core class line doesn't exist today. And I feel like if this came out, it died a painful death, didn't it? But I think if that came out today, he'd be a deluxe now, and that would be fine. And when we come up into some of the size of some of the deluxes later on here as well, I think they sort of did Rat Trap dirty there a little bit. For a big name character, too small a size.
Yeah, he cops a little bit like that. Now, there was another core class toy, but it's not technically a weaponizer, but it is another skeleton. It's a Dracodon. This little, does it tell me what kind of dinosaur it is?
I don't know.
Small green dinosaur anyway. And it's still shelf warming in toy stores in Australia. So that will tell you all you need to know about that.
Yeah. Quickly move on.
Deluxe class. Now, this gets a bit better. First up, we have Cheetor. Now, Cheetor is... Okay, so there's multiple versions of this. The first standard release of this was a bit off on colour. It was a sort of muted yellow and muted blue. And then later on, they did re-release it with a brighter yellow and brighter blue, and it looked much more on par with the on-screen model. But it's not a bad figure. It's got funny sort of legs, and it's a little bit skinny. I know that sounds funny for Cheetor, but the robot mode is probably the weaker mode, but the Cheetor mode is pretty good. Cheetah mode.
I'm actually thinking it's the other way around. So quickly, we're looking at the images. We're seeing the 2020 release of Cheetor, and oh my God, it looks like it's been left out in the sun. That's just off, isn't it?
Exactly.
Thankfully, Takara got their hands onto it later, and that's more like it. Much more like it. The blue is much richer. The yellow is a little bit deeper. I am not a fan of that alt mode. I never was. He has got sticks for legs, and it's just not for me. I think the robot mode is probably as good as the original toy, and I think the robot mode for the original
it's probably better than the original toy.
Well, I mean, in terms of like
it proportions wise,
yeah, absolutely. Not a massive cheetah head on his chest, but I think it's pretty solid for him, and a good representation in this class for the character. It's just a shame it took 2 attempts to get it right, because when you're looking at the images of the first release, wow, that's just off.
Yeah.
Takara came round and did it right.
Yeah, look, I think it's the right figure. It's definitely wave one, syndrome in some ways. They do get better. And personally, when this came out in that first wave, thought it was one of the weaker, ignoring Rat Trap, but again, that's more of a size issue than a design issue. But yeah, it's not a bad figure. They did, as you say, it's a decent modernisation of that original mould, and it takes a lot of that transformation and all that sort of stuff as well.
I should point out, of course, that when it was the Takara reissue, this is when they started doing like twin packs and two packs, which I can't remember if they did before the Kingdom side or figures, because we were starting to get like fights and versus battles being released as premium two packs, but it certainly happened in the Beast era. And it was Takara doing a sort of a tart up, if you like, of Cheetor and Waspinator. I've got a nice image of it here, looking very sharp. It's going to be said, and I like
so there was technically
getting kind of the treatment.
Technically 3 versions of that. So there was this re-release in 2021, but then in 2023 is when those Versus premium deco packs came out, and they were beautiful, all of them. In fact, I still may spend the money on getting some of those packs because the paint jobs, especially on Megatron and Primal, are beautiful. But we will move on.
The Megatron one, we'll get to that in a second. But doesn't the Megatron one have the actual green tails on it, the green lines on the tail?
Yeah, it's got proper like masterpiece like style paint job.
Takara do a very good job with paint, don't they?
Also in Wave 1 we had Black Arachnia, and this is probably outside of the masterpiece one of the more accurate depictions of Black Arachnia, particularly in robot mode.
Yeah, that's a belter of a figure. It really was. I can't believe how good they got that. I would even go as far as to say maybe my favourite in the All of Kingdom line. It's very slender than she is. I mean, if you've held the Masterpiece version, like Masterpiece is a stretch for that particular mold because there's so little of her in terms of legs and how it all folds up into spider mode. So the fact that they did it for the Chug mode, they did such a good job. It looked just like her. The weapons were fine. The legs are articulated, were really, really good. The alt mode wasn't terrible per se. The only thing that was a real shame, of course, is that she came with black legs and it had to wait for, again, one of the box sets to get orange legs on your Black Arachnia, unless there was another repaint, wasn't there, that we're going to get to. It's the universe version, like a toy deco, and you could break off legs and attach them that way. It seemed a bit of a sledgehammer to crack a nut, but you could do it.
But as you say, the spider, again, like we were saying with Rat Trap and other Beast Wars figures in this line, they were going more realistic beast modes and then show accurate robot modes. And this is a case of that where the spider is very much a creepy little Black Widow spider with a big bulbous rear end, and then the figure itself is very screen accurate right down to the chest. Like they really went for the screen accuracy on this thing. Yeah. But I agree with you, absolute banger of a figure.
I mean, for the price, you can't go wrong. I mean, she was not expensive at all. But you're absolutely right, isn't it? That it's like effectively a real world spider, but a toon accurate robot. Mm-hmm. Whereas, any other company, Takara or third party included, they'll aim for the same approach for both molds, if you see what I mean. So, both going for toon, both going for real worldisms as much as you can for a real world big breasted spider. But yeah, it's good. And honestly, just looking at the Beast Wars again, twin pack that came out in 2023. That's near masterpiece quality. They get that so right for show.
Yeah, the colours are so nice. The paint jobs on those Versus packs were so brilliant.
Oh mate, that's worth paying the extra money for.
Yeah, definitely.
The gun's orange, the black's got a sheen, the yellow's a bit richer, the orange legs, everything you could want that gives the masterpiece a run for its money. Only thing that holds it back again is I know it's for her character. It's very small. It is very small.
Yeah, definitely. So moving on in Deluxe, we've got Wave 2, and the first one up first and only Beast Wars figure in Wave 2 was Airazor.
Yeah, she came out and looking, I don't know. Okay, I've still got this figure. I still really like this figure. It's not perfect. I think its transformation could be better. But look, the original toy was I felt the original Airazor toy was rushed. I felt it didn't do the character good representation. It could have been imported from Diaclone, if you know what I mean. It wasn't that close to screen accuracy. The robot mode here for Airazor looked very, very good. Really do like it. Like how the wings fold away, like the missiles on the arms. It's very skinny around the legs. This is a bit like with Black Arachnia, very much the feminine frame transferred into the robot makes the robot come across very flimsy almost. And yeah, her legs, her very much holding hands, like we get in Chug nowadays with the fixed hands in a circular position, kind of restricts the figure. But the head sculpt was on point. The alt mode, the beast mode was fine, but I get the impression it could have been better.
Yeah, look, I think the hands are the weakest point of the figure for sure. The missiles on the arms are cool, but they are rather large. But it's nice to have representation of those missiles that she uses in the original show. Now, this figure is really good, and like if it wasn't Arrows, it would still be a really good figure, even holding up to the camera. And
I know, I feel like I'm looking at images on it. I could have just turned around and grabbed it off the shelf. So I've got it in hand.
Well, I've got a retool here of what was it? One of the pirate figures. I forget what it was called now. Yo, editor Chris here. It's called Filch.
Okay, yeah, and I don't.
But yeah, there's some really. That's a good point. There is quite a few retools of this.
Didn't hear our very poor interpretation of what we were seeing on screen. He's holding
a
up
little purple bird that I forget the name of.
Yeah, purple bird. Yeah, that's what it was.
But they have retooled this into Maximal Skywarp, into Pterosaur for the Golden Disc collection. So it's had a fair few uses. It's even been reused for the is it the Monster Hunters collab in recent times?
On that one.
Yeah. So it's been a well-used mold, and it's quite versatile. I think it's a good toy in general. It's reasonably fun to mess with. As you say, it can be a little spindly in the legs, and they did do again the Beast Wars versus repaint with the lovely colours matching the screen again.
That looks stunning, doesn't it? I forgot how good that looked. I mean, the head sculpt is much the same, I will say that, but that darker brown, even with the fanned out white tips for the peregrine falcon wings, even the yellow claws for the bird feet, they've nailed that paint scheme. It's so good. It even makes the alt mode look better, which wasn't my particularly favorite alt mode. But just as you touched on there with Skywarp, was it Skywarp or no, it was Silverbolt, wasn't it, for the retool? Because they came up with a two-pack with
which is the Japanese name of.
Oh, it was called Skywarp, but it was meant to be effectively Silverbolt for Magnaboss. And
correct.
I first looked at that and I thought, oh, are we doing a Magnaboss? Because we got a effectively bald eagle bird, and I thought, oh, here we go, we're going to do a combiner, and we didn't. We didn't get a lion, and we didn't get an elephant. So never mind.
So then in Wave 3, our next deluxe is Predacon Scorponok, or just Scorponok. And this one's a little bit contentious for the fandom. Some people like it, and a lot of people don't like it. Now, I think the Scorpion mode, ignoring the character and the what it's from, is pretty cool. Like it's this very compact, neat little Scorpion mode. The claws look a little odd, but then he's got this tiny ass little robot mode, and the colors that they released him in initially are not screen accurate or toy accurate.
Yeah, I mean, okay. I was very underwhelmed with this because this is when Deluxe started to like turn down for me. It was barely 5 inches tall, if that. Very, very small. I know Scorponok wasn't a big character, but it felt like a core class. And I think if you're going to do this for Scorponok, Rat Trap should have got this treatment at the very least, if this is the height you're going to aim at. Because look at the beast mode's fine. I don't think it's necessarily bad. If Rat Trap's beast mode had that kind of tooling available to it, I think you'd get a much better product. And it just didn't come across looking great. I think the head sculpt was fine. I bought it, I had it, and I got rid of it. It was very underwhelming, and thank God we've had a masterpiece representation. But what was quite telling, of course, is, again, was it Buzzworthy that's come further down?
Yeah, it was just like Black Arachnia. They did a release with the Buzzworthy 4-pack, and it came out in the black with the more purple claws and legs. And again, the Beast Wars again versus packs did another repaint of that. But in fact, I actually like the Buzzworthy scheme a little bit more. But then the quality of the paint on the Versus pack was nicer. But yes, for the Kingdom one, the muted purple, the grey body just didn't work for me. I like the toy, and I've got Sandstorm, the yellow Botcon version. Not Botcon, but originally it was. And I like the toy, but not the best representation for Scorponok in the sense of Beast Wars.
Let's just take a little dive into Scorponok a little bit, because he has trouble with his paint scheme, doesn't he? He has this kind of dancing around this black-bodied and like almost silver-like claws like we had in the very first run of the Mecha Class figure. And then the TV screen did not look like that. And we kind of had to do that dance again with the Kingdom releases.
Yeah,
as such as well.
Yeah, they don't seem to want to give him the right colours anytime. They're just
No, and even when you look at the recent re-release of the 90s Beast Wars toys, which is a reason why I wanted to go down this tangent. I was in WH Smith's, which is now called TG Jones, and no, sorry, I'll tell a lie, it was in Toys R Us. And I found the re-released in the screen accurate colors of the Mega Class toy from the 90s going for £5. I was like, I feel like I need to buy that.
The vintage Scorponok from 2022 is the best looking one out of the lot.
I'll buy a distant. But why? But the reason why I'm bringing it up, why does Scorponok have this forever dance of mismatched paint scheme?
I don't know. And maybe they did a shitty paint scheme on the new one as a homage to the original.
Yeah, we'll fuck it up once, we'll fuck it up twice, yeah, sort of thing.
Either way, Robot Toys did it best out of everyone. So
yeah, so far.
I don't know what to tell you.
My top 10 of the year.
Yeah, that sure has for mine too, which I need to finish that video. Yeah, look, Scorponok, a lot of people dislike this toy. Again, I think it's fine for a toy. It's just not great for Scorponok.
And it wouldn't be a Beast Wars wave or a Transformers wave in general without repaints. Yes, we have Shadow Panther. It's just Cheetor sprayed in black. And we get the return of a mutant mask, though, so that is something. I don't know what you want to say in terms of it's a bit part character. It's one that's explored more into the extended Beast Wars universe in the source book, but not something we've seen on TV. But you could say it's kind of going into Beast Wars Ascending, which we'll ultimately cover. It is effectively Ravage, maybe, and I think some people did view it as that, but it was just a repaint of the Cheetor mold. Maybe nicer paint being used. It has got a nice silver on the go, particularly around the legs, piercing red eyes. And as I say, the mutant mask is back. But if you've had Cheetor, then this is no surprise. If you look at all the Cheetors that have come out, I think this is always followed in succession in the black repaint.
Yeah, look, as you say, it's got a new head to replicate that mutant head. And as we said back in our Masterpiece Cheetor and Primal episode, this colour scheme does work. Works quite well. The red eyes on the black. It's very cool, but it's kind of take it or leave it with this release. Didn't do a lot for me. I would much rather the Masterpiece version, but it's nice to have options, I guess.
Yeah, I think that's the trouble with repaints, particularly when they're not on screen. It's like they're always going to shift less than their original paint scheme mold, if you know what I mean. It's like, if it's based on Cheetor, Cheetor got the speaking lines, Cheetor was the poster boy, certainly in comparison to Shadow Panther. So units of toys sold will always be much more in Cheetor's favour than a repaint.
Yeah. And next up, we've got Waspinator, which is a really cool toy. There's a few figures here that we had previous generations, like Thrilling 30 releases of, but I think this did it a little bit better again. Nice transformation scheme, very similar to the original toy with the head splitting apart and going onto the chest. Good design. I'm quite happy with this. And speaking of beautiful paint schemes once again, the Beast Wars Versus version of this is stunning with that metallic green and bright yellows. The original Kingdom release is a little bit dull on the green, but it's a good toy, and Ian's got it in hand, and I think it's one of the best representations of Waspinator we've ever had.
I agree. I do like it. Just looking again at that other half, the Cheetor Takara 2-pack that came out, the Versus pack, that's brilliant, isn't it? That shines, even the eyes shine. But saying that, I don't hate the Kingdom version. Controversial opinion, I think Thrilling 30s is better than this. I think the size is better. I think the head sculpt is better. Again, this guy is small on stature, but I by no means hate him. I like him. I think he's better than the original toy Waspinator. I don't think that did Waspinator justice. It was okay, but I felt the robot mode was very much a misstep, I suppose. Thrilling 30s was better than the original, and people will argue this was better than Thrilling 30s, but I quite like the Thrilling 30s Waspinator.
I have both.
And it also, Oh, do you? Okay,
Yeah.
cool. I never tracked down for anything. I think I Undonard, and then my wife got me this for Christmas one year, so I kept it. He
Go
does have
wife.
a problem, as I think most beast or arachnid characters do. The beast legs don't disappear; they just kind of hang, which we've seen, haven't we? And I know we're doing effectively a Chug video or Chug podcast. Sorry, the Robot Toys Masterpiece version of Waspinator is coming out, and it's a figure that's going to present a lot of challenges, but it looks like they're doing a brilliant job housing a lot of beast kibble within the figure.
They did very well with Scorponok, albeit they're a pain in the ass to fold into his backpack for robot mode, but the concept was there. Yeah, I'm interested to see what Robot Toys do with that, but we're talking about a Generations toy at the moment. Now, they did repaint this into another one of the buzzworthy Bumblebee 4-packs with Sky Wasp, this purple, black, and gold scheme. It's not my thing, but whatever, it's cool. And they also did a Buzzsaw repaint of it. So they got their mileage out of it.
Yeah. I mean, look, he's a popular enough character considering he's only had 3 toys in the official line. You know, that's pretty limited for a popular character, for a guy who's quite beloved, who I believe is in the Transformers Hall of Fame for being a lovable, squashable insect. So yeah, I like it. It's just a bit too small. We got light piping. The translucent purple wings are very cool. I do like that. But yeah, I think it just could be that little bit bigger still. Interestingly, I've just put him down alongside Air Razor, and he's shorter than Air Razor. Take that for what you will.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe scale wasn't in there.
Scale and Transformers. Let's go down that rabbit hole.
Moving on to the Voyager class, we've got some really good figures in Voyager. Starting off with the big bot himself. Check out our last episode, Gary Chol, please. Share it around. Either way, we had a lot of fun, so we're happy either way. But Optimus Primal is next up. Now, I alluded to this earlier. Look at Optimus Primal's crutch. He has scissor sloth on his crutch.
Can you not? Can you not?
I hate this because I never noticed it because maybe rose-tinted glasses or whatever. I never noticed it for a long, long time. And someone said it to me and I did notice it and then I forgot about it. And then when this toy came out, all the new generation of fans saw it, started saying it, and now it's in my head again, so you'll have to share my pain. Anyway, moving on. Optimus Primal toy. Again, they've gone for the more, you can't see me, but air quotes, realistic animal mode. Very heavy on the textured fur and more of a real gorilla face opposed to the original toy. Look, it's a decent toy. It's very much the original toy, doing the same things in terms of transformation. Turn the legs around, unfold the feet, lift the shoulder pads, flip the head out. But it's a cool toy, and it's a good representation of Primal. He's a bit smaller than the original toy, which is fine because he matches up with the Megatron that we're going to discuss soon. And yeah, I quite enjoy him, but I like my Primal toys.
I mean, I know what they're going for, but that real worldism bleeding into the robot mode for me was a miss. I like the head sculpt, and I think the swords are cool. Not my favorite figure. And not my favorite version of Primal. And I can't unsee that waist now. Again, thank you so much for that. But it's, yeah, I just feel, however, the original toy was just such a banger of a figure, and this wasn't. And the Masterpiece, for whatever problems, really did the character justice. Okay, that was going very much for screen accuracy in both modes. This didn't nail either thing for me. Yes, I can tell it's a gorilla. You know, I can get that, but I don't know. It felt like a misstep. I'm okay with it being Voyager class because he was never the biggest. We've said that before. He's fine, but it did sell. I will say this. I think I'm very much alone in my theory here. He did sell pretty well. He was on a lot of shelf, but Primal's had a lot of good toys over the years. You look at him on the wiki list, and there is toy after toy and deco after deco. If you want to go for that original toy paint scheme with the blacker fur, or if you want to go for one more grey toon aesthetic or burning convoy, you know, there's all stuff available. But for me, I just don't think a bit like Rat Trap, it didn't do it justice for me.
Like the original 96 toy, they went for that textured fur look, which is fine on that original toy, but it's a lot more subtle. This is very heavily sculpted, and I would have preferred, particularly when they re-released this in the battle packs, that they dialed that texture down a bit and just smoothed it out on the render or whatever. I think that's the weakest part of this figure. And ultimately, you're going to compare it to the Masterpiece, and the Masterpiece is near perfection in terms of the sculpt, the paint, the size, all of that stuff. So it's a good toy, and it's fun to flick back and forth. But yeah, that I agree that textured fur, when it goes over into the robot mode, is a bit too much, and it does subtract a bit from the sculpt.
It's a shame, but again, going to the Beast Wars Takara version, Beast Wars Again, that came out in 2023, that is near perfection. That's got like a glossiness to it, and even the Beast Mode's got dotted eyes on it. That looks more like Primal. Everything's shining. The handle of the swords are blue. That is a mini masterpiece, if ever there was.
Yeah, just dial the texture down a little bit. That's it, and that would have been perfection for a retail toy.
And of course, with the 4-pack release of this figure, we got the Nemesis Primal repaint, which I don't think we've seen a Nemesis Primal up till now. Can you think of one?
Not unless there was some random BotCon or Collectors Club or something that we're unaware of. But I think it may have been one of the first or one of the very seldom times that we got a Nemesis Primal, and I like the teal and purple on Primal. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, I actually thought it was a bit fresh. You know, whilst I'm not the biggest fan of repaints in the world, and then, you know, just doing them for repaint's sake, I think it just breathed a bit of life back into the character. Primal doesn't need an excuse for another toy, does he? You know, there's another one that comes out. But I thought it worked, and it was just it wasn't a cheap repaint, I suppose. It was just it was a bit of a what if, maybe a shattered glass rather than, say, a separate Nemesis character. Mm-hmm. But I liked it enough. I thought it worked for the character, even though it wasn't my favorite mold.
And relatively easy to get to, because a lot of people buy those 4-packs for the Headmasters. So on the secondary market, those Beast Wars characters included in those pop up a lot. So if you ever want to experience the mold without trying to get a Kingdom Primal, that's the way you can do it.
I mean, a lot of people would say they would buy a 4-pack and end up chucking away 1 or 2 characters that he didn't want.
Pretty much.
And then probably one of the more sought-after fan favourites of the wave with Kingdom release of Dinobot. First time we've had a new Dinobot toy since the original, and not including the Masterpiece version as well, which did come out a bit before it. But yes, it was great to see Dinobot again. I think a little bit like Scorponok, somewhat divided the fandom in terms of its transformation and its build, but you can't argue the representation of the robot mode to show accuracy was very, very good.
Yeah, we did get a classic or universe, I think, and Henkei released Dinobot, which wasn't bad at the time, but looking back at it now, it's pretty average. But yeah, it's the Kingdom release is pretty cool. I've always found proportionally it looked a little slender in the top end, like the width of the shoulders and the size of the arms and stuff. Yeah, were a little bit odd. Again, they're going for I say this with the biggest grain of salt ever, accurate beast mode.
With the bullshit transformation.
Yeah. But look, the robot mode's cool. The head sculpt's brilliant, absolutely brilliant. And how they achieved the chest and all that stuff is pretty nice. But yeah, I think proportionally it just looks a little off.
I mean, looking at the image now, the head does not match the arms, does it?
No.
You know, it's just like he's gone big head mode, and the arms, he's definitely skipped arm day. They've put in as many gimmicks. Why on earth? I'm going to pick up on this. Why is this sword purple? And then it sticks through the tail of a dino leg. Like it's to why? Why is it like that?
Like he's got a little red rocket going on at the back.
He's got something going on, but that's for sure. And again, his dinosaur paint scheme is like a charcoaly brown. It's not. Yeah. We've got a bit of the touch of the Scorponox here. It's just like, don't get me wrong, the blue and the orange, the head sculpt, love it. You know, that's exactly right.
It's the perfect blue, but chest. Yeah, that weird charcoaly browny grey, it's just a little funny. And this also had some issues with some yellowing too, which isn't great. I
didn't know that.
Yeah, some of the nylon they used for the forearms sometimes goes a little bit funny.
Oh, wow.
Which was unfortunately around this early 2020s, there was a few toys that had yellowing issues, whether it was plastic problems or whatever.
remember Cyclonus and Ratchet were
Correct.
Yeah,
Which are out of the
particularly,
same line.
I remember Ratchet yellowed like within 5 months. It's very quick.
Well, Cyclonus is
I
like
get-
just specific parts too, these nylons or whatever
Just
they use.
thighs or something.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, thankfully, I kept mine out of sunlight. He's held up. But just going back to Dinobot, looking back at all the others, again, it's another one that's danced around the color scheme issue. The original toy was that horrible flesh color pink. And now with this, he's got this charcoaly brown. It's like, how hard is it to make it the brown that he was, the brown and tan that he was from the cartoon? I mean, why have we got to go dancing around the houses for these different schemes?
Getting premium versions to be able to get the right scheme.
I know.
Now, I have
Like third or fourth time I've asked.
massive nostalgia for the original toy, albeit pink. It was my first Beast Wars toy. Still have it. Love it. The repaint version of this that came out in Buzzworthy Bumblebee looks like a skinned chicken, like the colour of it. Like a raw chook.
So undercooked. It's so undercooked.
And because it's got the skin texture, it really does look like a plucked chicken ready to be barbecued or something.
But this is where you see like these artist impressions of like what a beast form would look like, and it's like an animal torn out from the inside, fairly graphic, and it would never pass for a 90s kids cartoon, but that's kind of what you'd imagine it would be if it transformed from the inside out. But yeah, you made such a good point. Like, why are we waiting for the premium version just to get it right? Because you do see Beast Wars again that only came out in 2024, really not that long ago.
Yeah, and
that's exactly what you'd want. You got the red inner tail, still a purple sword for some reason, and then it's but other than that, it's spot on.
It does come with a golden disc though, which is cool. I will say that the raw chicken does have a good head sculpt though. I do like that toy inspired head sculpt.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah, which is pretty cool.
It's good. And they must, we haven't come across it yet, but they must have retooled this for Grimlock. I'm sure they did, didn't they?
I think so, yeah. Kingdom Maximal Grimlock. I think that came out in the pack with the Skywarp or Silverbolt, whatever you want to call it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, one of those like, I don't know what they called them, but like the golden disc 2-packs or whatever.
I know what you're getting at.
Yeah, so there was a redeco of that into Grimlock.
So the worst part about this mold is the fact that his dinosaur claws and hands just look really elongated and long. We're talking about proportions again, much more so for robot mode.
Yeah.
But they just kind of hang over like they're, I don't know, like it's like I'm thinking of a cartoon and like a shut your hand in the door and, like the hand is like 3 times the size. That's what I'm getting when I'm looking at it.
Yeah, it's this thing of the skinny, small shoulders and then really skinny, long arms with giant claws on the end. And it just, as I said at the start of this, the proportions are just odd on it. I think if you jumped on Photoshop and tweaked a few things, it'd be a really nice figure. But it just, I love Dinobot, and I don't mind the figure in general. But yeah, the proportions are just off.
But I will say, despite us absolutely raining on this figure, it did sell.
It did sell, and it was really hard to get. Yeah.
People were happy to get a very popular character again. What's not helpful for us is to try and review backwards. Is the fact that we're looking at the wiki page, which has the masterpiece image right above the image that we're talking about. We can't help but divert our eyes to that gorgeous,
which is still the best
figure.
Transformer ever.
I mean, yeah, not arguing, but that's not what we're talking about today, is it, Chris?
No, but it's a bit like someone lends you their Lamborghini and then you get back into your Hyundai XL. Like
exactly,
you're not going to feel right, are you?
I'm not going to drive home in this. Yeah, exactly.
Moving on from the raw chicken, we have another figure that did get a thrilling 30 release, but had been updated again here with Kingdom Rhinox. Now, I have a few issues with this figure. First, the legs are pretty average, and the head sculpt, I really dislike this head sculpt of Rhinox. It just doesn't look right. Like, I know that it's got the makings of Rhinox's head, but stick that next to the cartoon or the masterpiece and it looks like a different character.
Okay. This struck me as maybe a bit too hard to do with a chug budget. I think this was, as we gushed over with the Masterpiece version and how good a job that's done, this was a lot to house a rhino hide and a robot. And you could argue, well, they're just panels, they're sitting on the robot, true enough. But to the point that when it's transformed, you almost can't see robot gubbins, if you know what I mean. Sure, it has limbs, but it's mostly rhino hides, and that's making the limbs. Again, same problem as patchy has been a problem for Rhinox going through history. We've got mismatching colors. He's this very pea marshy green, and then this gray outer skin scale, which is going for real worldism. But why? But this goes right back to the original toy, where he comes out in a magnitude of colors. So we got a bit of a tan original 90s toy show accurate, and then they did that horrible partial gray skin repaint, which just looked terrible.
Yeah, and even
we kind of got the same problem again.
And even the Beast Wars Versus pack, they almost went too far the other direction, where the skin is like this gold brown and gold horns, and the green is off. Like they went the wrong way. Like they just turned the saturation up way too much.
Yeah, the green looks a bit too Incredible Hulk for my liking. And yeah, he looks like he's being glazed for a barbecue rather than being a rhino out there. Plus the fact that he's got, in the beast mode, he's got such a derpy face. Like, he just looks like he don't go.
I mean, the robot modes, somewhere between this and the Thrilling 30 or the Legends would have been good. But I like the Thrilling 30 and Legends version. I keep calling it Thrilling 30. I think it's Generations. But anyway.
It's but we can call it Thrilling 30s. Yeah.
But I prefer that Rhino mode over this one.
Oh, undoubtedly. Thrilling 30s, I actually sold the Legacy, not Legacy, was it? Sorry, Kingdom version, to go back to Thrilling 30s. But why does it seem to be, Chris, that Rhinox has problem with ankles? Because that was a problem with Thrilling 30s, and that's a problem with the Masterpiece as well. They just don't want to stand up.
Yeah, but the Masterpiece still shits on these. Like,
oh, well, yeah.
Not even close. It's not even a hint of competition between these. I think Rhinox is one of the weakest of these Kingdom figures by far.
I'd agree. I think for a character in the Voyager price point that would have more bells and whistles to it, nothing was nailed. I don't think any of the alt modes look particularly on point. And I'll say this as well. This is one of the few, actually, I should have said it for AirRaiser, that got made into a sort of an oversized fourth party of the Kingdom mold. So
what's a larger pile of crap?
A larger steaming pile of shit. Yeah, absolutely. I was very underwhelmed. I think for me it was the muted colours when I first got it, of the green and of the rhino hide into that grey. I was just like, this. And
as you say, that rhino head is so derpy.
You can't take it seriously, can you?
No, we're moving on from it.
Yeah, agreed.
over to Tigertron. Now, at a glance, like in previous incarnations of Tigertron, you would think that this is just a repaint of Cheetor, but it's not. It's just shared engineering, scaled up a little bit with some retooling, I'm sure, but they are different toys. And this is at a Voyager price point and a Voyager size, but essentially it's the same toy otherwise. And I actually like this, except for the fact that, like the original Tigertron, kind of has that yellowing built in, because I mean the real white tigers probably have that yellowish dirty fur to them. They're not stark white, so I get what they're going for, but when you're so worried about yellowing on white toys and it comes built in with a fucking yellowing on it, it's a little bit sort of, it takes you out of it a little bit.
I'd agree. Look, this is kind of well praised, this figure, and a lot of people have it and say it's really good, and I like it. I think it's a good version. As I said when we covered our podcast on the original 90s toys, finding Tigertron over here in the UK wasn't easy. So it was nice to see him readily available. Again, he's a Voyager price point, which for scale-wise worked with Cheetor as a deluxe because he was bigger than Cheetor. And I feel it's a good version of it. Now, yes, the Takara version did the paint scheme better, but I don't think the original release was bad. Yeah. Maybe the original green teal was... It's a shade watered down, just a shade, and again,
yeah, just desaturated a little bit. Good head sculpt. Again, that yellowing's a bit odd, but the Versus one, again, I know we're broken records here, but that Tigertron Black Widow pack,
it's great, isn't it?
The stark white, the strong teal, really beautiful color scheme.
If you got Rhinox to do like a fourth party upscale, this would have been a better figure to be upscaled, I would have thought.
Absolutely.
If you put this anywhere touching a masterpiece scale or even in the conversation, that would have gone down very well. It's still a figure that goes down well. And of course, we see a Mutant Tigatron that came out in the Golden Disc pack release with Tony the Tiger paint scheme with a mutant mask, which was a nice
Tiger they both. Yeah.
Stop it.
This shell formed like all hell.
Oh mate, didn't it though?
No, I think you could probably still find it in the odd toy shop around the place.
Yeah, I think someone tried to give it to me when I went shopping the other day.
Those people that are like, can you save the children? Instead of that, it's a store with a bunch of boxes of Golden Disc and Mutant Tigatrons. Please take them. Please take them now.
I said, I'll pay you not to take them.
But yes, the actual toy is pretty good. I did enjoy getting it to have with the team. But again, that versus pack, stunning. And if I get the chance to upgrade, I definitely would. Last, but definitely not least, our one Beast Wars leader from the Kingdom line, Beast Wars Megatron. Yes.
Isn't that depressing that it's the one leader from the entirety of the Beast Wars on? And I guess that, I don't know, tin hat theory. The beasts were smaller, but they weren't exactly given a chance to outshine the Autobots in this line, were they? If you got one leader, no commander, no Titan, what would you do for a Beast Wars Titan? But of course, we were supposed to get a Polar Claw, weren't we? Sorry, is that too soon?
Still possible. It's still possible.
But yeah, we have War for Cybertron Kingdom.
We had
Arnie himself.
Not to rub salt in the poor bloke's wound, but we had John Warden back on the team for a moment. We nearly got there.
Yeah, one day.
No, look, this Megatron, they went for something a little bit different. Again, air quotes, a more accurate beast mode. But something that was a little bit different on this is it had like PVC rubbery material for the thighs and these little neck flaps, which allowed for when you turn the head, they were spring loaded. So when you turn the head, they would sort of stick with the neck to not break up the sculpt. Sort of an odd concept, which I didn't mind. It's still not a bad looking toy, but I do worry about them holding up over the long term. This is now 5, almost 6 years old, but I do worry that 20 years time that these rubbery bits are going to deteriorate and not be there anymore.
I completely agree. And that's a shame, isn't it? When someone on newer releases aren't going to outlast the original toys.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't think this was utterly amazing. I think the robot mode was good. I think the beast mode could have been better. Just something about the head sculpt maybe just didn't capture the Megatron character. But I liked it well enough. And it did sell. People did have it. We come back to it again. Sorry, broken record. You just got to look at the 2023 Takara paint scheme release with that masterpiece purple and sheen and almost camouflage looking scales. That is money, isn't it? That's so on point.
Beautiful, beautiful toy. Now, there's a few things that I dislike about this figure. The gappiness in the thighs annoys me on a leader price point.
Agreed, very much so.
I don't mind the lower legs because Megatron wears T-Rex boots. That's fine. He's got his T-Rex thigh-high stilettos on. But I dislike the shoulders. They slope down, which I get is part of the sculpt. And the tail is a bit weird. Not so much in beast mode, but in robot mode. It looks like this weird little nub of a tail with his little pincer claw thing. And as you said, the head sculpt really, it looks like a kid's T-Rex toy head sculpt, not Beast Wars Megatron head sculpt, which is a very specific classic T-Rex head sculpt, like the skull shape head, where this goes for more of that accurate looking thing with the what would you call them, the inner cheeks with the mouth opening and all that sort of stuff. It's not terrible by any means, but it doesn't scream Beast Wars Megatron in beast mode, beside it being a purple T-Rex.
Massive purple dinosaur. No, I know what you mean. It's again, just going back to the point that you made around the gaps in the thighs, you're dropping 50 plus on something like this, and it's just, that's what you're getting. This is where I feel Beast Wars didn't get the attention it should have got. Maybe it starts to harm the figure, particularly when you got people like us who bang on about how good the original toys were, and you see and this maybe wasn't exclusive just to the Beast Wars figures, but as much as it was for the Chug figures, gaps and open thighs were becoming a thing for the chug line anyway. But when you're trying to reintroduce people to the fandom, bringing characters back, you want to make a home run representation. I don't know if Megatron did that, perfectly honest.
Yeah. Look, it's a good toy, and there was some repaints. There's a Jurassic Park 2-pack with a Jeep, which is awesome. Like, it looks so good, I've left it in the box, like in the T-Rex mode. That's a really great use of this. There was T-Rex, which is an Autobot version of this mold.
Yeah.
And we'll get back to it in a minute, the Versus pack. Oh, shit. Got to throw it in. Look, I love the head sculpt, the chest sculpt, all that is really great on this. Side guns are pretty cool in the smaller size rather than those old toy giant ones.
Trying to do a Gary Chalk impression?
The Gary Chalk doing a David Kay.
Exactly. We're breaking fourth walls here.
But yeah, look, I like this figure. They did some different stuff with it, which I appreciate, and it's not a bad figure. It's definitely okay. And they were trying stuff with this Kingdom line. As I said at the start of the pod, they definitely got into their stride when they got into the Legacy trilogy, and now with Age of the Primes, they're hitting like home runs and a half with some of these Beast Wars figures. Quick Strike is a great one to mention. We'll get there eventually. But yeah, but it's a good toy. Now, the paint scheme on the Versus repaint carries this thing hard. That I think out of all of these figures, like Black Arachnia, beautiful. Tigertron, beautiful. The paint scheme on this makes this toy.
It's next level, isn't it? To the point that you almost bypass the Masterpiece. It's so good. Again, do this in an upscale and you've got a Masterpiece figure because it's got the Takara Masterpiece head for it for robot mode. The derpy head, if you like, or it's not so much of a derpy head, but it goes away from being a standard purple dinosaur to Beast Wars Megatron. In that alt mode, the almost beige coloring on the underside of the belly all the way down to the tail, that's gotten to a much more of like an orange maybe.
Yeah.
It's just on point. The flaws of this figure go away. Now, look, I'm sure the gaps in the thighs are still there. That doesn't disappear. And the slanty shoulders that you mentioned. But if ever a paint scheme made a difference, this is one of them.
Yeah, I think I know they couldn't because of the shape of the sculpt, but if it wasn't for the shoulders in this would be a perfect retail figure.
Agreed.
And that's just personal preference for us. I'm sure other people don't care about the shoulders, but this repaint of this mold is absolutely stunning.
And this did come out in a Versus pack, of course, with Primal, wasn't it? That was the Compatriot, which again makes sense. And I remember that retail for a lot of money. And I can understand. You've got the two big characters going at it in premium Takara paint schemes. Now, of course, that's going to cost a pretty penny. I think I actually had it on pre-order and I changed my mind last minute. One of the few repacks I go in for, but it's just the fact that we're a bit touching on this, aren't we? It's a shame you've got to wait for a reissue to get it how you want it.
Yeah, and look, nothing's going to beat the Masterpiece figures. We've always said that they're our favourite toys, our favourite masterpieces and representations of Beast Wars characters. But those Japanese versus Beast Wars Kingdom figures are very, very good in the terms of their quality.
Yeah. Takara just know what they're doing. But looking back on this line as a whole, as we come to the last release, there was no Commander and there was no Titan, at least Beast Wars related. Would you say slim pickings, maybe a bit thin spread? We didn't get every character release that we maybe thought we would do.
Yeah, look, Inferno came out in that line. Everyone thought it was going to be the Ant Inferno. It wasn't. It was a fire truck. Inferno came out later in the Legacy line. But look, if no other Beast Wars figures had come out after this, they'd be fine. But with hindsight, looking back, knowing how good some of these Beast Wars figures got in Legacy and now Age of the Primes, they are a little subpar looking at the Kingdom ones.
I mean, they're 5 years old, but I take your point. It's the sort of thing like, and this, I guess, comes back to my point of like, you're reintroducing a fandom to Beast Wars characters. Some people will never have heard of Beast Wars until they saw these toys. And some people go, wow, big purple dinosaur, great. what's this guy? I want to know more. And then doesn't have maybe every bit of premium quality that's there and to it. Whereas, say, Inferno comes out, belter of a figure, and we'll cover those later releases more in our future episodes. But Tarantulas and Quickstrike that's just come out that have had the benefit of 5 years of engineering and better working on them. As you say, like they're very unlikely to go back to the Kingdom releases and re-releasing them now.
Just a year later in the following line with Legacy, we won't go into depth about these because we'll join this up because there's a whole sort of series of releases. But we had Tarantulas, Inferno, and Transmetal 2 Megatron come out in the following year, and they were so good. And they were like such a big jump up in engineering and accuracy and all that. Yeah. So, as I say, with the hindsight of looking back, we're not saying that they're trash or anything, but the Kingdom figures were like a test run almost. Then coming into these Legacy,
it felt like a sacrificed run, didn't it? Because you can't compare. All right, it's a core class, but you can't compare Rat Trap or maybe even Scorponok to the Tarantulas that came out, to the Inferno. No. The Inferno is widely regarded as a brilliant toy and as good a version of the characters we've ever had. The Transmetal 2 Megs, I've still got it. Wonderful.
And then you're talking like we had Magmatron coming out. I know that's Beast Wars Neo or Beast Wars Second or whatever. And then you've got, Silverbolt and Tigerhawk and all these like banger figures. It's hard for them to stand up against that. Again, they're not bad. They're just not.
But do you know what the problem is though? How do you justify it if you're Hasbro? Because Beast Wars is a finite cast. Could they not have just done it? Like, okay, I'll answer my own question. They're spreading. They're hedging their bets. They're not putting all their eggs in one basket and just throwing out every Beast Wars figure. But what do we always say about the beauty of Beast Wars is that you'll finish the cast because there's if you went for show members, 5 aside, and maybe the others extended as well. But if you wanted, Hasbro could have thrown out every Beast Wars character under one wave if they wanted to. And it feels like they held back a little bit.
They very much, ignoring that there was a show going on to help support this, they very much with Beast Wars scatter them into the mix with their G1 and other legacy, not the Toyline, but legacy as in history characters.
Yeah.
It's not that I think the designers love Beast Wars, but they understand that, just like we say with this podcast, it is a niche subject within a niche subject. Yeah. And unfortunately, whilst us Beast Wars fans are very strong supporters of Beast Wars, we are very few compared to your G1 fans and your live action fans. And from a business point of view, it makes sense that they scatter them through and they're supported by the G1 releases, etc. I understand.
Yeah, look, if you had just shelves of Beast Wars figures, profits would slump. We're realistic enough to know that. I totally understand it. As you say, it's just a shame for the likes of us. And we're like, Inferno. Oh, it's a fire truck, not a fire ant. That's a bit like, why? I want my big fire ant. We got there eventually and can't argue. And I don't know. I look back at this line and we'll kind of do a sum up with our favorite ones and least favorite in a minute. But I look back on this line, sadly a little bit tainted by the cartoon as well, which we won't go into because that's not what we're talking about today. But you kind of look back at the figures like, sadly, I mean, I'm tired.
It went down like a Rhinox fart.
Oh God, I don't want to do that episode.
It's coming very soon.
I don't fucking want to do it. But that Megatron toy is a very good toy, even the original paint scheme. I think it's good.
Yeah.
My God, the portrayal of Megatron in that cartoon devalued that toy.
Take the cartoon away, brilliant toy. Put the cartoon, it hurts it, doesn't it? It really does.
Plummets. Massive. It's just because I keep hearing like, I'm your biggest fan and I want you to sign my gold. I'm like, no, I don't want this to be my Megatron. I want this to be a tyrannical leader and how the Takara version looks.
Yeah, look, I think we're repeating ourselves a little bit now. It was a good test run for modern Beast Wars toys. Nothing particularly wrong with them, but they are overshadowed by the newer stuff that's come out since. Once they dialed back that, we need to make this look like a real animal, and just went, hey, this is a Beast Wars character model. Let's modernize the toy, and bang. Imagine them trying to do that real world scheme with that Quickstrike that come out, which even non-Beast Wars fans are raving about at the moment.
Yeah, true. Massively so.
You know what I mean? And that's just a screen-accurate toy. That's all they needed to do.
Yeah, so all you needed to do, Hasbro, listen to us.
But anyway, that is our discussion about the Kingdom Beast Wars line. So if you did enjoy that, please let us know, because we would love to talk about these Legacy and Age of the Primes figures in a lot more detail. So give us some feedback on that, and we'll put that into the rotation for some of the next toy discussions.
If I had to pick one that I absolutely love from this wave, I did like the Megatron, but I will go with Black Arachnia. I stand by it. She's small in stature and everything, but for what it nails, does an absolutely banging job.
I think I'd have to agree. Whilst there's other figures that are good in my mind, I think she is one of the best releases out of that line in terms of the base mode looks great. And the robot mode is brilliant for a off the shelf retail figure. It ticks lots of boxes. So, yep, I agree with you. So that was episode 25 of the pod. And again, I hope everyone had a really good holiday season, whether you celebrate Christmas or whatever your holiday of choice, or you may not celebrate any. And we just hope you had a good end of year. And for everyone coming into the new year when you're listening to this, we wish you all a prosperous, healthy and happy year ahead. And Ian, I hope you have the same. And we're coming up on a year doing this pod now with 25 episodes. So 26 will be, as we release fortnightly, will be our 1 year anniversary, so next episode. And we're having a great time. And we've said before, sometimes it can be a bit of a pain in the neck, which is our choice, living so far apart. But we always enjoy this. It lifts our spirits greatly, having a laugh and talking about the things that we love, being Beast Wars and Transformers. So wrapping up our year and starting this new year fresh, I want to thank everyone that's listening. We're nearing on 4,000 listens now. That's and we're averaging around 100 within the first 2 weeks of every release now, which means that 100 of you, if you think of filling 100 people in a room, it doesn't sound like much in numbers when you just say, oh, it's 100. But if you put 100 people in a room, that's a hell of a lot of people.
Put 100 people in a room every fortnight. That's pretty good going.
So
not bad for a niche of a
all
niche.
of you that listen every single fortnight, we cannot thank you enough. We really, really appreciate the support. And like some of our episodes are nearing 400 listens now, you know, and a lot of them are in the 200s. So they are trickling up and people are enjoying the pod. And I'm getting feedback in real life and on the internet. So thank you all. We're really enjoying this, and we've got so much more to give and so much more to cover. And we'll work on more guests and anything we can do. So before we wrap up, I just really want to thank everyone for the support and making our little niche podcast into something that's growing. So thank you.
Yeah, I just want to echo what Chris has said. It's been really great to have the support and the messages and the reshares. Love it. Love what we're doing. And we will get more guests on. We've seen the list of TFCon, don't you worry. But we're working on it. And look, if we got Gary on, I'm sure we'll get others on too.
Yeah, definitely. All right, everyone. You know where to find us. Twitter, Instagram, Blue Sky, Facebook, YouTube. That's just Primer Beast Wars Podcast. You'll find me, Carnage Creations, on YouTube, and Chris Carnage on all those other things that I listed. You'll find Ian as ArrowFyre with a Y.
With a Y. Sometimes Arrow_fire.
Yeah, depending on the platform.
Depending if someone's nicked it.
Please do check out Ian's YouTube and my YouTube as well. We would greatly appreciate the support over there. And Ian, you got any closing words for our lovely listeners?
Just again, a big thank you. And next episode will be our 1 year anniversary. So we'll do something special for that. We will see you on the next one.
Goodbye.
Well, that's just prime.